My name is Daniel Mugoya. I work with UBC. Of recent, you've become the champion at fighting corruption in your docket. How unique are you from the rest of the government figures who have tried to do so?
I wouldn't call myself unique. I just think that I'm just doing my work as a citizen who decides that enough is enough. What is wrong, what is right is right. We have to do something right. And my personal conviction has been because everywhere in the community where I have been moving to mobilize for my party, NRM, I get the sense from the population that we have let them down, especially in the areas of just looking on the corrupt, stealing or robbing our country. And for me, my inspiration comes from His Excellency the President, his hard work, and I usually do a lot of reading of his literature, and I read his Sowing the Mustard Seed and the points that he talks about the corruption, because he breaks down topics by topic. If it is about industrialization, he has his own views. If it's about agriculture, he has his own view. Growth of the economy, he has his own views. So I had to go back and read his views on the corruption bit of it. And reading that, I had to flash back, because I was able to know how Uganda was before President Museveni came to power in 1986. Yes, so before 1986, Uganda in terms of corruption was worse off. There was extrajudicial killings, there were rape of women happening, there were roadblocks put in every place, and every road stop there was always this roadblock where people are getting extorted, people's hard and sweat was getting robbed by people, men in uniform back then, and it was worse than what it is right now. But that doesn't mean that we should close our eye on what's happening. And so the president, with excitement, talks about how his government has had to do away with the corruption of the extrajudicial killing and the rape of women, among others. But he recognizes the fact that we need new soldiers to fight embezzlement of public funds and bribery and corruption. That means that actually those who are also sabotaging government projects. So picking from there, I thought as a citizen I have to do it, and this is not the first time I'm doing it. 4 years ago, I fought from 2018. I fought the corruption that I saw was happening in my docket of Minister of Finance, in charge of investment and privatization, especially with the Uganda Telecom. Now, this is the only telecom that we have as a country. As a nationalist, I thought to myself that this telecom has to stay. I didn't see why it should be liquidated. And I started fighting with so many forces within government. And now this is not people outside government fighting, but people within government who have a divergent view of saying this company has to be liquidated. And indeed, I got it in the jaws of a liquidator. It was already taken to the courts of law, ready for liquidation because of mismanagement. And I worked tirelessly to ensure that it was actually not liquidated, and identified the corruption gaps, how people were paying themselves exorbitant amount of money. You can imagine how people were earning 100 million per month, and board of directors were earning like $5,000 US per month, and yet the company was sinking. They could not pay utility bills, they couldn't pay staff salary, they couldn't pay all the basic needs. And so I declared war, and I fought, and I thank God that this was successful.
So should we say that is part of the success story you can share with us now, or the time you've been in the docket?
I've been in the docket for 8 years now, 8.5 years now. I can say that one of my biggest success story is actually making Uganda Telecom 100% state-owned.
Okay.
But more than that is job creation and industrialization with the help of President Museveni. Because when I joined government, I first was the Minister of Youth.
Yeah.
And of course, together with my colleagues, Honorable Peter Gwang and others, and with our excellent Permanent Secretary, Pius Bijimana, we started the Youth Livelihood Fund and made sure that the young people benefited. And we started a slogan, something for us without us is not ours, and made sure that actually this fund was rolled out to the whole country. And we did that successfully. And then I was moved to Ministry of Finance. In 2016, when I came to Ministry of Finance, what I found was the state-of-art government industrial park, which sits on 2,200 acres of land. From 1991 to 2016, only had 15 factories. And so I couldn't sit back and just look at that. And I had to start the war of making sure that I liberate that land. It wasn't easy because I can assure you, my brother, there were security organs, big generals, big Ugandan personnels who actually took over this land in Namav Industrial Park.
Yes.
And I had to work with the president to make sure that we get them out of that industrial park. And we did that. And just to conclude on that point, today I'm very excited because now the park has 270 factories with 440 companies allotted land to, and 70% of those factories are actually owned by Ugandans.
Okay, before the Namave land and so on, going back to the UTL, you saving UTL, what were the challenges and how are you sure that you're not going to face the same challenges in the fight you've opened up?
Well, the challenges were very huge. As in, the corrupt are very well connected. And back then I said that, oh, look here, the mafias want to kill me. What I learned is that I will not cry because I just have to be like them. I realized that when a bully wants to bully you, you just have to stand up to them. So I've decided to stand up to them. People back then were forging documents. They would use legal gymnastics to try to make their wrong to be right, and try to rob the citizens in a legal way or formalizing their robbery. I don't want to call it even theft because it's broad day robbery. You clearly see that this is wrong, but then they start robbing. And then what I saw experienced then were threats, of course, death threats against me, and yes, what I had to do was the head of state told me, you see, Anite, go and read the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 10, that says that happy are the righteous who have fought for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of God. And I can't forget that Bible verse because it reaches a point I want to give up, and this is the support he kept on giving me. And it gave me the impetus to actually continue fighting. And yes, together with him, we were able to liberate the company, and now we have a national company. And that came at the cost of me accruing enemies. I mean, I accrued very many enemies and lost some of my friends.
Were the threats within government or?
Of course, the ones who are doing all these things are within government. I told you the opposition is not outside government, it is within government. So we have to do something to clean up from within.
So when you say that even when you went to the head of state, he sent you to, or referred you to the Bible, this brings me to a point that most of the times the laws have been neglected, because even you, when you received the threats, you did not go to the relevant authorities, but you went to the head of state.
I did because I actually went to the head of state, yes, because he's the commander-in-chief.
See?
And so he has to command the whole chain to everybody to come in order. Unfortunately, that is the truth. Uganda, that's where we have reached. Because you run around seeking for justice, and because everyone is connected, and the ones who are stealing are so connected that before you know it, if you don't have the commander-in-chief to come and hold your hand and say, please stand firm, you'll be cooked.
So the people or the perpetrators you cited in the UTL saga, has the law taken any positive side? Is there justice?
If you live in Uganda, you know what happened to them. So I will not have to tell you what has happened to them. You see, my teaching is that you have to let bygones be bygones, and you just focus on the success. The success story is that we now have a new company called UTEL, and it's there. So that is the success. We've learned lessons that we've got to be very careful when we're fighting the corrupt, but we've got to be very brave. And for me, this is my conviction that if we don't do it, who will? If we don't say, who will? If we don't save a country, who will? Just like the country had gone to dogs before 1986.
Yeah.
I have asked the head of state this question, that look here, Mr. President, these days it's very difficult to mobilize for NRM. And I am surprised that it was so easy from reading your stories that people just joined you in the force to actually go and join the rebellion and come. How come it was so easy? He's answered me that people had no choice. They were so oppressed. And that's why they voluntarily went. And now if you're going to mobilize for NRM, if you don't have money to mobilize, you cannot mobilize anyone. So people have reached the stage where they are tired of the corrupt. And so if you keep quiet, you're the one whose future is getting stolen, and the future of our children are getting stolen. You're the one who is going to be sitting there on those bad roads with big, deep potholes, which are almost like lake. You're the one who is not going to have good, stable electricity. You're the one who is not going to have a good job. You're the one who is not going to have a good hospital. Because if you fall sick, then there's nothing in the hospitals. You're the one who is going to suffer all the poor country that actually is otherwise wealthy, is rich, but then a few people robbing from the country. And so you have to wake up. And I'm happy that the president in his showing the mustard seed says this battle needs patriotic people, it needs new soldiers, as to use his words, to come out and speak. And it comes with a cost, of course. It comes with a cost because the corrupt fight back. And when the corrupt fight back, you're bound to lose your position, the political position. My colleagues tell me, oh, Honorable, we cannot talk about this because, you see, they will follow us in our constituencies and they'll make us lose our seats. I lost mine already, so I don't have any fear. I knew that they would follow me in my constituency. Indeed, they followed me in my constituency. They made me lose the constituency, but I'm better off without the constituency. Even if I don't have a ministerial position, I will still speak. Because unless then God allows them to take my life, then I will keep quiet. But for as long as I have my mouth and I am able to talk, I will speak. When I see corruption happening, I'm not going to keep quiet because I'm the one who goes through the bad roads. I don't like it. And I hate it that it's not prestigious now for you to sit in those government cars because you're driving in the traffic and somebody is going to yell there, "Sente zafe." You know, you dress smartly, you can't enjoy your country. So we have to redeem the political class. We have to redeem our names so that serving this country in this country should be enjoyable.
So, Honorable, I want to even quote you in your recent statements in the media. You said that the corrupt easily access the president. How is it possible that the president's door is so open to the corrupt people, always on overtime?
Because because they are dressed, they're wolves in the sheep clothing. So he wouldn't know. They just arrive and approach him, and they wear this innocent face, and then by the time they reach him, they say, you know what? Actually, Honorable Anite is not fighting me because I stole money. She's fighting me because she doesn't like the other person you brought. This was my classic case in the recent example. She has personal interest, that's why she's fighting me. You know, she's fighting me because she doesn't like me. But I mean, the facts are very clear. So first of all, I want to make it very clear that I don't start any battle without evidence.
Okay.
Because my president has taught me that the NRM way of doing things is that you must not implicate anybody without evidence. So whatever I speak, I have solid evidence. So when you allege, I always want to have the evidence, because I know the Fountain of Honor will not believe you unless there's evidence. And so I'm happy that even when the corrupt access him, he will say that on this day, so and so came to me and told me A, B, C, D, and so how do you plead? And when the person is there. So in the recent case, when he told me the lies that, that the executive director of UIA said about me, when I was telling them, please don't steal taxpayers' money because you're going to make us to lose jobs, you're going to make us not to lag back behind in terms of industrializing Uganda. The lies he put, he told me in my face, and I had to clarify, and I've put my records clear in black and white. I will share with you.
So do you want to tell me that you've provided enough evidence to the president? Because
not only to the president, even to the IGG. Because this is black and white. The account numbers are there. For me, it's not personal, by the way. I have no personal wars with anybody. Mine is, I'm supervising this docket. When I see corruption, I'm not going to keep quiet. Because when it fails, when people go to Jokers, this morning I saw on Twitter people asking me, but Anita, why don't you fix this Jokers road? I mean, the money is there, 219 million. People have decided to use the money for their personal gains, thanking themselves. And I'm like, just go and ask them. Go and ask those who actually took the money to refund our money so that we can do the road. Because it is true that we've borrowed money, and if we don't do the work, we will have to pay this money with an interest. And so some people tell me, Anita, but this is small money. Don't talk about the small money. And I tell them, no, small or big, it's bit by bit makes a bundle. If they steal, every thief, my belief is that they started by stealing their mother's sugar or stealing meat on fire, and their parents didn't beat them enough. And that's why they continue stealing. So then it becomes chronic. So it becomes a new way of doing it.
So, Honorable, as we try to conclude, on the issue of UIA, that the industrial park, the beneficiaries of the money, because I don't want us to delve much into this, but the beneficiaries of the money say you don't have the powers. You don't want to delve much in it because they are your relatives? No, because of time. Okay. No, just because you see, this is what's happening. That's why I want to go straight to the point. So this is what is happening. The beneficiaries of the shared funds say that the minister has no powers to approve such a... Listen, I've not said I have powers to approve. I have told them that what they're doing is wrong. Whoever has the power to approve, not to approve, what is wrong is wrong. This money is meant to do infrastructure project in Namanvi. The project is at 50% 5 years later. So what are you thanking yourself? What are you saying? Handshake. What are you thanking yourself even when you fail to do the project? The best to do for such people is to get them out of their offices and throw them out. Because 5 years, they've not done anything. You've not delivered the project. You've only delivered 50%. And not only have you delivered and failed all of us, but you have also gone ahead and encroached on the money. Okay, so this is wrong. And why I am actually at the forefront of condemning them is because myself and yourself will have to pay back that money with interest. You and I will have to pay it back with interest. So if you see them anywhere, ask them to take back that money. If not, you will pay it back with interest. Do you acknowledge the fact that they saved Uganda 5.9 billion, as they say? Save what? They have not saved anything. Because they say... Listen, my brother. Yes, they have not saved anybody any money. Better still, the Attorney General of Uganda has asked them for that contractor whom they have terminated his contract to pay back that contractor. To pay. They're supposed to compensate that contractor.
You go and interview the Attorney General. So the corrupt will run around and defend themselves. You see, I actually took it, I saved this, I saved that. The question is, ask them a simple question. Go to Namanve. Say, this project started in 2019. We're in 2024. Why haven't you finished? It's supposed to be 5 years. Why are you still at 50%? What saving have you made? This is not about saving. Who told you that they are supposed to be saving money? They are supposed to be completing the project. We borrowed the money for them to finish the project. They are telling you they have saved. Do you know the contractor on ground, if they have saved us the money? The owner's engineer on ground has not been paid for 2 years, and they're talking about saving money? 2 years, there is no money to pay the standing current contractor. They're telling you they have saved the money. The project owners, the project team has not been paid for 6 months.
Lagan.
Not Lagan. The project team of UIA.
Oh, the whole project team?
The whole project team has not been paid
Lagan
for 6
is the
months.
Contractor.
Yes. Project team, 6 months have not been paid. Owner's engineer, their owner's engineer, whom they have hired, for 2 years they've not paid. What saving did they make? Please don't deceive us. We're not children. We're not born yesterday. I am making 40 years by the end of this month, by the end of this year. So I'm not going to allow anybody to be deceiving Ugandans. Oh, you see, because for me I am this, hey, I've saved this. What have you saved? Go do your job. If you can't do, we have 45, as per the new census, 45 million Ugandans. We will give them that job.
So now what's the fate of the project now that infights have come in?
The fate of the project is they must refund the money, we continue with the project. Otherwise, contractor is not being paid. Nobody is working. Go and see. For me, I have blown the whistle and told all of you, if Ugandans want to be hearing nice stories, you see Bambi, they are nice people, you see they are our relatives, they are our friends, they saved us, the project will stay there. And you will suffer and you will pay. So be patting them at the back at your own peril, you will pay.
You are a whistleblower, as you say. But
I have already written to IGG.
You have already written to IGG? What's the response? I'm
waiting for, I'm not the IGG. You expect me to give you the response? Go and ask her.
So, Honorable, maybe finally, these are, you know, it's quite interesting, especially when you front some of these things, but we people who live with the young population and the people whom you don't relate with maybe oftenly, they say that people in power are sleeping in the job.
I have told you they are sleeping. You're telling me they are saving us money. I've told you. Haven't I told you that they are sleeping? I have told you they've slept for 5 years. You're telling me, no. I hear they saved us. So,
you know why I'm saying
because
this?
you, the one who is reporting, you're skewed. They give you little money, then you start saying, Bambi, so, please, this is about our country called Uganda. Yes. We must get angry and hold the corrupt by the, I don't want to say the words, by the horns.
Let me also give you a report from the ordinary people. They say that these have become songs. You talk very good on paper,
yes,
but actions. Look at the scenario we are talking about. We are just trying to sanitize, because you have fronted the matter to the IGG, you fronted the matter to His Excellency the President, but people are still on the job. So,
you see, I can only do what my paycheck.
What is the role of the law now?
So you ask the ones who are the custodians of the law to do their part. Me, I've done my part.
Of whistleblowing.
I finished. I even whistleblew in writing. I have put all the wrongs in black and white. So, those who are charged with the responsibility to completing the job, they should. Me, I don't have, as a minister, I don't have the powers to hire or to fire, by the way. I don't have that power. It's not with me. So those who have the power to hire, I have already told them that this is wrong. And I have evidence. I have account numbers where the money was put. They have acknowledged having received it. Instead of giving it back to us, they're just fine. You see. Please, let's not romance with corruption. We must squeeze it hard. and kick it out of Uganda.
Just yesterday, President created another unit in the URA to fight corruption. Do you think it is the same thing that needs to be done at the UIA?
Okay.
Are you answering in affirmative?
I've already told you, okay.
Honorable, do you fear for your life?
Why should I fear for my life? The control of my life is God.
Okay.
If he says it's time for me to go, I will go. Because even the one who would want to take my life will also go. So the control of my life is only God.
My last question. How do you ensure accountability in your docket, just to a layman?
By making sure that everything is done transparently, because my docket is where land allocation to foreign and domestic investors is done for free without having to pay any tax or any money rather. And so what I have had to tell my board of directors is that they have to do it transparently, that we should not allocate land in the boardrooms, but make the whole public know that it's very transparent, because I've also been hearing accusations that the people are picking money so as to allocate land to different people. So I have put that open, that we'll publish the names of the people who are allocated land to, and also publish the names of the people whom we want to withdraw land to, and do it during broad days, so that nobody will accuse anyone for corruption. So this is one thing I've told them to do, and there is also a loophole which I've decided to close, and this I give credit to the president, because the issues of bribery and all that, for us to close it, we are coming up with the law that we have processed with the Attorney General and taken to Cabinet next month, to make it criminal for anybody who actually asks for a bribe or pays a bribe to anyone, of up to 10-year imprisonment. So those are some of the laws that we are putting in place to make sure that we stamp out corruption in my sector.
Anything else you think we've left out?
No, before she gives a question, me, I want to know, first of all, how do you select your investors?
We do not select investors. Investors, first of all, start with Ugandans. Did you know that Ugandans who are in a real estate is a service sector, then 100% of them, the ones in Chikubo, this area, the town, has been built by Ugandan investors. And so they just decided to come. The first incentive of being peace and stability enabled them to come and invest in the country. And so we don't select them. The foreign investors come to the country by themselves and they invest. So what we do, for instance, for you to be able to get a tax incentive, if you're a foreign investor, you must have bring evidence that you have 10 million US dollars for you to be able to get a corporation tax exemption of 10 million. If you're a Ugandan, you have to show that you are going to invest 150,000 US dollars for you to be able to get corporation tax exemption, VAT, stamp duty exemption for the period of 5 years, or rather 10 years. If you're Ugandan, you just have to show to the board of directors that you have minimum capital of 50,000 US dollars, and then because you cannot just be given land without demonstrating that you have the capacity to develop the land. So these are some of the things that we put in place. Now, I know where you're going with your question. How about the ones who are trading downtown? Those are not investors. This is somebody sleeping on that job, because there is Ministry of Trade, there is a licensing authority in the different local governments. So if they decide to license a foreigner to do petty trade, you're not going to blame the Minister of Investment, because the one who is bringing them in the country they come through immigration. So if they come as a tourist and then they end up as an investor, you can't blame the Minister of Investment. There's somebody who has slept on their job, and so that person has to wake up and do their job. As for me, as the Minister of Investment, I have to make sure that I do due diligence, write around letters, and to ensure that they're doing the right thing, and they must invest in the right way. If workers are being mistreated, you're not going to ask the Minister of Investment. You actually have to ask the Minister of Labor, because that is her job or his job. They're supposed to wake up and make sure that workers are not mistreated, they are paid in time. That is their job. So I realize that everybody wants to shift the blame on the Minister of Investment, but they forget that there are different ministries, departments, and agencies who are charged with a different responsibility to ensure that they do their part of the bargain.
And you've spent in the docket of the Minister of State for Investment and Privatization, how much have you saved taxpayers' money?
It's not my responsibility to save taxpayers' money. My responsibility is to industrialize Uganda. At least that is what the president gave me to do, to implement his vision of industrializing Uganda. And we've done this very well, to the extent that Uganda's contribution, the GDP of Uganda is 56 billion or trillion. And the contribution of my sector alone to that GDP of 56 billion is 16.5%. And we've grown this sector from only having 85 factories to having 10,000 factories. And we're growing it steadily. And we have grown it from being a supermarket of a sort to being a country that is exporting now to the world. And we're getting more self-sustaining every other day, because our point number 5 of the NRM 10 point is that we have to build a self-sustaining, an integrated and self-sustaining economy. That's point number 5. And for us to be able to do that effectively, we have had to emphasize on value addition. We have had to emphasize on import substitution and export promotion. Okay. And for us to do that, we have to encourage many more Ugandans to come and invest in the 4 sectors of economy which we know that can actually make them to become wealthy.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
You're welcome. Thank you.